What's up, y'all? So we're checking in with just a little PSA about this video. Okay, so let's get into it. The video is a tad bit out of focus, and that's because the camera decided to focus on things in the background versus us. But honey, don't fret. We still think that this conversation is A1 and that you guys are still gonna love it. So we really thank y'all for y'all patience and support, and we hope y'all enjoy this video.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Girlapeutic. It's your home of therapeutic girl talk. And today we are going to talk about a meme. Is it a meme? Or it was a thought. Can I say it first?
Miss Girl just be typing. She be saying her thoughts, but it's her thoughts.
Yeah, it's a post from Erica Campbell, and we're just going to talk about it. And here we go. It goes a little something like this. She says in the post, "Do you teach your sons what you teach your daughters? Can they clean their rooms? Can they cook? Are you teaching them to respect their bodies too?" And we just wanted to talk about that.
Let's talk about that. That's good.
The question is, do you teach your sons the same things that you teach your daughters? All right, and we are talking about double standards with that. Mm-hmm. Because I think the answer would be a collective no.
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. So let's get into it.
I think a lot of times, it's okay, a woman should be domestic, so I'm gonna teach my daughter how to clean, how to cook, how to, all this stuff that women do. But at the same time, you're not teaching this. Why is cleaning and cooking just subjected for the women?
Yes, because
I want my man to know how to cook.
My man needs to know how to cook.
You definitely gonna know how to be clean. I don't know if you peeped our last video, but baby, them hands. So we in this household, you need to be clean. There's just so much that, yes, you need to be teaching, because here's the thing, what if your son is looking for a wife, and because you haven't held him to any type of standard that you did maybe your daughter, he don't know what to look for?
Or your son be looking for a caretaker because that's what his mom is.
And
now listen, a lot of times women are raised to be wise, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you're raised to be domestic, like you said. Mm-hmm. It's the cooking, it's the cleaning, it's these like taking care of the kids. It's these gender roleistic,
ironing your man's stuff.
Yeah, which honestly, there's nothing. To be honest, to be real, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Nothing wrong with
what we're saying is that's incomplete.
It's not
because
a
you
requirement.
don't just teach the child or the woman to be a wife. She needs to know how to be a woman. Mm-hmm. Your man don't need to just know how to be your son and how to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. He needs to know how to be responsible and how to fend for himself.
At this point, let me shut up.
And he needs to know how to be able to cater to effectively his own woman.
Exactly.
Yes. You're not marrying your mama, your sister.
You're not marrying your mother or
what
your
if you marry someone who can't cook or has no desire to do that?
Yeah.
How you gonna eat? Y'all ain't eating out every day?
Yeah. What we going? Because listen, I'm the one. I can cook, but I would prefer to have my meal ready. I don't like to cook. I know how to cook, but with me, I'm vegetarian. Stuff can be easy. Mm-hmm. I don't got time. Like, if my husband knows how to cook, that's gonna be great. So if you're out there, baby, get in that kitchen and learn. Because we can both cook, but
cook together.
Yeah, it's not you do this. And that's what you do for this household. Like, no, we can both cook.
We are in 2021.
We're in 2021. And I feel like when people have this mindset, and I've talked to it about you guys, we're kind of putting your sons as mothers sometimes put their sons on a pedestal. Mm-hmm. Don't do that, because you're raising this person. He's going to have to treat somebody else with respect and dignity. And if you aren't instilling that in him because you have it in your mind like he going to be taken care of, that's a mess. Don't do that. Don't do that to nobody.
That could be the same too there's instances where if he's the only boy, he's spoiled. There's also instances she the only girl, or she the only child, or something like that. When she's known, like she's used to being spoiled, or he's used to being catered to. You dang near creating a monster.
Yes. You really are. So not fair to
someone who doesn't know how to coexist with someone else, who just expects their needs to be met, and they're not willing to meet anyone else's.
That's not fair.
It just makes the other person so miserable, because it's like nothing that they do will ever be enough, ever.
And you're not even allowing your son or daughter to grow up and mature, which is something we've talked about as far as womanhood before. You can't even get to that point if somebody is constantly taking care of you. Like, it won't work, especially in a relationship. It's two of us. We need to be
two becoming one.
Yeah.
We gotta work together. Yeah, you can't. And and you just get into so many different unhealthy habits when you start to have that mindset for both men and women. I know the term daddy issues is thrown around, or mama's boys is thrown around. It starts there though. Like, your upbringing literally, it sets the tone for how you're gonna actually grow into your adulthood. And I think it's also important too, like, let's say if you were raised a certain way, like, sometimes some people don't even recognize that the way that they were raised really had an effect on them, or it was necessarily wrong. And I think we as adults too have to be okay with unlearning some of the things that we have maybe been taught as we were getting older.
I am trying to find something.
Unlearn that, baby, because that doesn't mean it's right. Our parents, think about it like this: our parents, they had to grow too, and that's why, like, you're able to give your parents grace. And once you start to understand that, it's like they're literally growing with us too. My parents had me. My mom was 22, baby, 22. What? A child at 22? Absolutely not. And not in this lifetime. 22, you still learning and growing. But a lot of us, that generation, it was different then. You could have kids that early, but there were also different spaces. But because of that, she had to learn herself too. It brought things that, she probably necessarily wouldn't have wanted to tell me as I was younger. But as I got of age, in order to make sure that I'm being the best person for myself and my future spouse, I had to unlearn some things.
To that, there is, and I actually say this, and I don't know, maybe we can make a separate video about this, let us know, but there is this thing, I guess you could say, this concept called reparenting. Have you heard of this? And so, you saying this, I saved it, and you saying it was like, dang, that's why I was like, I need to find this. Because listen, it says, many of us will unknowingly react from a space of childhood pain, anger, shame, and hurt, often identified as our wounded child. This means that as adults, we have the responsibility of reparenting ourselves to ensure that we grow, heal, and empower ourselves to create who we want to become. And so it says reparenting entails observing your patterns, thoughts, habits. It entails self-soothing, offering ourselves structure and routine, identifying and prioritizing our needs, recognizing and validating emotions, taking responsibility, restructuring negative narratives, letting go of detrimental beliefs, setting realistic expectations, taking responsibility without self-blaming, establishing boundaries, and grieving.
That's great.
All part of reparenting. And what you said right there is true. Because even if your parents didn't have you when they were younger, they could have, my mother did it by herself, as far as being the primary parent. So there's things that she had to go through. She had to endure. You know what I'm saying? Even then, even if you're in a 2-parent household, they still figured it out. They are still, your parents are still adults. At the end of the day. Child, we are getting into a whole nother video. But that is so true.
It's very true. And
that is so true.
If your son or daughter doesn't recognize that, and you don't give them that space to do that, because that's all they know, then you end up with, the kids who, look for, in women's instances, for their spouse to act like their dad, or live up to this high standard that their dad maybe has placed on them, when that's not the role for your husband. You know what I mean? Or vice versa.
And even it's not a standard, it's more of an expectation.
Or expectation, exactly. And for men, looking for a woman, they expect them to act like their mom.
But you have to stop, because what if you don't get a wife? What if you
Right.
What if you don't become a wife? What if you don't become a husband? You need to raise your children to be adults,
Independent.
to be able to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot to put on a person, to expect them to care for you and take care of you the way that your mother or your father did. Why do you even want that out of a significant other? I don't want nobody to treat me the way my father treated me. That's my dad. So it's a different situation. Of course my dad is going to want to take care of me. He is my dad. But at the end of the day, he raised me
He raised you.
to
He
not
made
need somebody else
Exactly.
to take care of me.
Factual.
That's
So
what
if he
he's
doesn't
gonna
take
need.
care of you like your dad takes care of you, or took care of you, what would you say?
I'm saying, and this is what I'm talking about, emotionally.
Okay.
Like my dad, like, oh, you my best. You
Right.
don't do that.
Okay.
Because there are some people who want that from their significant other. And my question is, why do you have that in your father? That's the role he's supposed to play. But at the
Exactly.
end of the day, like we've talked about before, characteristics as far as being a hard worker, things like that, actually
A
working.
provider, right?
Of course, those are things that you look at in your father or that person that you have in your life. And it's like, okay, yeah, I want somebody with that characteristic in my life. But don't treat me the way because I'm his little girl. I'm always
and
gonna be
that's
his
never
little
gonna
girl.
change.
That's never gonna change.
You're
You
saying you were his responsibility.
Right.
Yes, I'm not trying to, even as when I become somebody's wife. No, like I still want to be able to take care of myself and do all those things and do things for you. It's not gonna be you need to do everything. That's not right. That's stressful. Whether it's on the man or the woman, that's too much to ask for of somebody because you're an adult. There are things that you can do.
Do y'all believe in gender roles?
Like a woman should do the. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily think there's a role. I think that there's certain things that we, like our anatomy, like we're born, it's in our DNA to do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My dad was a stay-at-home dad for a minute. Okay. That's what they needed. That's what we needed to do to provide our family at that time.
It made sense for your house.
It made sense for the household.
That's what's important. It makes sense over here.
I think gender roles are society.
Okay, period. It makes sense over
Over
here.
Over here.
And if you weren't, you were my business then.
Yeah, because my aunt and uncle, when I tell you we have outings and events before everything happened, my uncle would be in the kitchen helping clean up, do dishes, do all this stuff, and nobody's looking at him like he's crazy
Right.
because this
What
is
you
his
need to
wife,
do.
this is his house.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put all this on you. If it's gonna make, that's the thing. If it's gonna make the burden light,
Yes.
why am I
Then
gonna
do
keep
it.
all
Help.
that on you? Help out,
Help out.
girl.
I would say, even from personal experience, and I think I've told y'all this before, but when I got married, after we pulled off from the church, we was in a limo, and my husband was all excited, like, can you believe we married? Like, oh my God, he hyped. And I was sitting there like, because instantly I started thinking about gender roles.
You know what? Like,
I started
don't
thinking
think I'm
about
to.
I didn't grow up in it.
Listen,
I didn't grow up seeing certain things.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, what does this look like? Do I have to keep up conversation all the time? Because I ain't never lived with nobody.
Yeah.
We never, so it's like, okay, do I have to keep up conversation all the time? Is he gonna expect me to cook? Is he gonna expect me to clean? Now we did talk about it, but I think even at that moment, it's like everything, it got real and everything just started rushing to me. Now I let y'all in the door of my home for a second. As for my house, it's very, it's definitely a partnership with how we do things. Like there are certain, I would say, chores that he doesn't like to do, and there's certain chores that I don't like to do. So I may be able to put the clothes in the washer, but I don't like to fold. He folds. Or he may put the clothes in the washer and fold them too. He does it often. He sees dishes in the sink or whatever. He tries to clean up right after himself. I don't enjoy doing dishes, but I do them.
Yeah.
Right.
He'll try to clean up the house, here and there, if he sees little things. But I'm the one that does the deep cleaning. It's a partnership and we
that
work
works.
together. Like you said, it works over here. But the gender roles would have me feeling like I do the primary cooking. He knows how to cook, but I primarily cook the food because I be throwing down. Period. But even then, I was just feeling like based off gender roles that good Lord,
That's
I'm
a
gonna have to
lot.
I'm
do
gonna have
too
a
much.
laundry list of stuff to do. And that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case.
But that's when you get with someone who is mature.
Yes. And thank
And
his mama for
understand
teaching him.
those things.
Because his mom taught him how to do those things.
But that's why that's so
Yeah.
important.
It's
Because
very
if not,
important.
you are literally giving somebody a kid.
Yep.
Like, we're trying to have children. I'm not trying to raise you and
Honey.
then like,
Ooh,
no.
Because what the pastor said that his
We
wife
can't.
raised him.
You can't.
I don't want to say the
do
pastor
that.
that said that, but
I feel like that is
That's
so
weird.
That is so, to me personally, I think it's very toxic.
Yeah, and then the wife probably is resentful because she feeling like she got to do this, and this. She don't get a moment to herself, okay? Because she's raising her husband, raising the kids. You know, that's too much. I'd be mad. I'd be ready to go.
Yeah, that's what people always
Let me tell you something.
It's two mature
I'll be
adults
ready to
in
go.
relationships.
yeah.
We can't have, and that's why it's so important to know when you're ready to be in a relationship and when
Yes.
you're not ready. Because when you're not ready, it's gonna be a mess.
It's gonna
Because
be
you're
a
just not there. You're not mature enough to handle it. But you have to.
And talk about it.
Teach
If you're in the
yourself.
dating phase too, that should be something you need to know what's the expectation.
What's the mindset of this
you.
person?
Exactly. Because if they're expecting you to get on the roof and build the house and cut the grass,
I ain't
because
doing
that's what they saw their parents doing or whatever, their mom doing, and you know that's not me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you need
it's
to
not
have
me.
that conversation.
I'm not cutting the grass.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can
not
do
cutting
it,
the
but
grass.
I'm definitely
I'm
not
not.
getting out there and doing it.
Uh,
We gonna order, and if you don't like to do it, we gonna get somebody to do it for us.
Right.
labor, not your girl.
Yeah.
Not labor.
And for me personally, like
I
I would do it if I have to, but I don't like to take the trash out. It's just I don't. Okay, I'm sorry.
But
But
it's
if
also
I have
being
to, I will.
exactly. It's being, but
Exactly.
that's where the
Be open.
compromise
You'll
comes
do
in.
it.
At.
Yeah,
If you need
if
to.
need be. I'm not gonna
But
let
if
the
you
trash
okay
run over.
with doing it, then baby, go
Baby,
ahead.
go ahead and do that.
I'll do it when you ain't here. You want to trip or
Yeah.
something? I'll take it out.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna let it sit there.
Let it sit there till he get home.
Exactly.
Now that's crazy.
I'm gonna take it out.
That's
But
true.
Put some gloves on.
go ahead and do what you need to do.
I think the whole gender roles just blows things up. Like, it's not even that big of a deal.
It's not.
It's not that big of a deal for you to wash the dishes.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal.
Like you said, it's compromise.
It's compromise.
It's knowing your partner and how they are, cause like just like you said, like you do all the cooking. He can cook if he wanted to. You know, I like cooking, so I wouldn't mind. But I would also wouldn't mind if my husband knows how to cook.
Right.
We get down together.
Yeah.
And it helps because there may be a day where I'm like, I really don't feel like cooking.
Right.
He understands that he goes in there, fends for himself, or we're ordering out to eat, or whatever the case may be. But it's not that this is what I expect.
Right, like it's an argument because you didn't cook tonight. Like we're not doing
Baby, let
that.
me tell you something. If you think that, and if we gonna know in the dating phase too,
Yeah.
cause baby, I ain't the one. If you,
You can't put all that because at the end of the day, even when you're in this relationship, life is happening. So if it's a situation with dinner, I've had a really rough day, and I usually do cook, but I'm just like, I really just want to sit down.
yeah.
That's when that spouse comes in and takes that off your plate. It's not that it's a rule that is set, like you need to do this.
Right.
And that's so
It's
unhealthy.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They gotta cater to each other. You cater to him.
Mm-hmm.
He need to cater to you.
Yeah.
And when we have kids, it's gonna be the same thing. There's no gender roles. You gonna know how to keep your room tidied up.
Exactly.
Cause let me tell you something.
That just makes sense. though.
There's nothing because of gender roles. I think men have been given this stigma that they can't be as clean as a woman or neat. But let me tell you something. When you meet, for me, when I met men that are just clean, oh baby, it goes from 0 to 100. Okay,
Quick.
real quick. That is like, oh, you got them crevices clean.
Not the crazy.
Because that's a
You
reflection
just
of
did
you.
the baseboard.
Yeah.
Baby, let me tell you something.
That's the reflection of who
That's
you are.
good right there.
Erica also said in here, do you teach your sons to respect their bodies? Now y'all know that is oftentimes,
Oh,
especially if you are raised in a Christian household, whatever.
Yeah.
That's oftentimes, and I don't even think
That's
it's just Christian.
That's the whole
It's
boy.
with
I
the
think
whole-
it's period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girls are the ones that like, you
We
know,
always got to be that.
they try to
Yeah.
protect, and then it's the guys that's like, do, like
I'm
you
gonna
said,
do what I
boys will be
do.
boys.
When I'm done, I'm gonna go on it and I settle down now.
Or you be happy to hear your son has gone out there and
do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
It
That
goes back
is-
to the host seat.
That is toxic to me. That's toxic parenting. Letting your son run wild, hurting these girls, or letting your daughter.
But you wouldn't want your daughter to be in that
You would
position.
now. That's when you know. If you wouldn't want your daughter to date somebody like your son,
You doing it
you
wrong.
doing it wrong. Like,
well, because the message as a whole should be not just my daughter's body should be respected, but my
because
son
my
should.
son should
body.
be respected.
Yeah.
We really have to change that because men do need to know that they're valuable too.
They
You know how I mean?
absolutely-
Because there are some women out here that's gonna take advantage.
Yeah.
So what that mean that he's not important?
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? You can't. No.
That
you need
also,
to definitely
too,
teach them.
Like, I think a lot of men too, I talk to my friends about this, like they feel like their feelings don't matter as a black female. A woman's feeling is more likely to be taken seriously than a man's feeling. And I think a lot of times men have been emasculated because they feel like that if they show any type of emotion that they're weak or it's not valid. And really it's the opposite, you know.
Yeah, because they're not teaching their sons
They're
that it's
not.
okay to cry or to have moments of weakness or
exactly, and it
whatever.
absolutely is. It's like at the end of the day, your human DNA, you're still human, whether you're a boy or a girl. You know, you still feel things, and I do absolutely 100% agree with that. As if especially black men,
Oh,
we're
absolutely.
gonna talk about it. Black men and their feelings we got to do better with that, and just acknowledging them and like helping them, and that's where it's very important that whoever they end up marrying or dating is aware of that and not necessarily take advantage of the fact that these gender roles that society has placed, like they need to be masculine all the time. They shouldn't show affection. That's a lie.
That's a lie.
That is a lie.
That's
You
not
should be
normal.
doing that. I know for me, I want my man to be doing that because
Me too.
as a wife, you're there to support, to help them through whatever they're going through. And in the marriage, he doesn't feel comfortable, one, with communicating those feelings to you. Like, one, you don't know who's going to do that, but there's just so much that can be bottled up inside, and it's probably started, young, but we have to create a safe space for them to feel comfortable doing that. And
Exactly.
like, that's important.
And I don't think it would be impossible for you to be that space if you haven't, like, if you're stuck on this like selfish tip and you haven't gone through like that reparenting process or whatever, to where you realize that, okay, it's not just about me and how I feel, but it's also about this other person who has experiences. He has X amount of years of life before you got there, and now y'all merging that together. Of course there's going to be, different things that come up about each other.
Exactly.
So you have to have a sense of maturity
Yes.
when it comes to that, and I think that all just flows back into being taught how to deal with that, how to process it. So,
Because I've been there. I've been the person who wasn't ready in a relationship. So I felt like everything, because growing up, your parents, they can make stuff about you. So you feel like, okay, it's all about me. But you have to grow out of that.
You have to.
Because that's just
Yeah,
not
it's
fair.
not.
You have to be mindful of the other person you're in a relationship
and
with.
it'll compromise your relationship too.
Absolutely.
After a while, somebody gonna get tired of that.
Yeah. Get tired of it always being about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why it takes two adults. I say it all the
Two
time.
adults, honey.
Two mature adults
Equally yoked.
to be in a relationship.
Well, let us know down below, okay? Tell us what y'all think about this topic. Do y'all believe in gender roles?
Yes.
Do y'all believe that sons are being taught the same thing as daughters? Okay. What's y'all thoughts about this topic? Make sure that you like, that you comment, that you subscribe, that you share it, and that you follow us on Instagram. Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
Really comment, guys, because I'm interested to know what y'all think
We need
about
more
this.
perspectives, folks.
Yeah.
Key question. Do y'all believe in gender roles?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we'll see y'all in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.
again.
I'm not even gonna act like I did.
That was a bop.
Come on,
to come and set me free.
I don't wanna be like someone waiting for somebody to come and save me. All of me survive, and there's somebody's on the side. Don't wanna be no one. I'd rather rescue myself. Hey,
She said, I can slay
Hello.
my own dragon. I can be a dream.
my own dream.
My own dream.
My knight in shining armor is me. Come on.
Hello.
I'm gonna set me free.
I don't wanna be.
What? And y'all was talking about being grown, but y'all still jamming.
Let me take time.
To Cheetah Girl.
Hey, I said Cheetah Girls ain't going nowhere.
I love that.
All right, let's start.